again, welcome to Lines on Design. We have a terrific show today for you. Our dear friend Allison is here from Al Harry. It's a treat to see you.
Thank you.
Kind of in the background, we've got your oldest daughter Sarah's here. It's fun to see all of these people. I tell you, when we talk about shop locally, it really brings it all back to center and home when we realize we all know each other, which is really a lot of fun.
It's a small world.
It really is. I'll tell you what, it's a treat to talk to you today. The showroom looks phenomenal here in Bluffton. Talk to me about some of the new things that you're doing, because as I walked in, I was like, whoa, blown away by all the new product.
Well, I'm working on a new grouping, which is based on Gustavian design, which is a combination of Swedish and French. And so this is a break front that I created. I saw a picture of an antique that had this arch, which caught my attention.
Okay.
And so from there, that was like the starting point. And I love the whole reeded pattern. And so we did it on here and on the door. Exactly. And then we added the dental molding to give it some weight to it.
Talk to us a little bit about the Swedish design, because I know actually this whole vignette has a very Swedish flavor.
I think what I love about it is that it's elegant, but yet it's kind of rustic at the same time. It's very soothing, and they always use soft colors like pale grays and blues and soft greens and creams. And so it just sets the atmosphere, especially for down here. I think it fits in beautifully, you know.
I've always wanted to ask you this. What inspires you? Good question, huh?
First of all, I think it's the shapes.
For children.
Yeah. I think it's the shapes.
Okay.
That catches my attention first, like this.
Okay.
And then from there, I think it's, what color can I do? You know, like I love the historic colors, so there's so much to choose from. So I think to start, I would have to say the shape of things is what gets me.
Educate us a little bit about historic colors and what that really means and what that really speaks to, if you will.
Well, for me, I love the Charleston group.
Okay.
And, you know, I think what most people would think is back then that they didn't have the colors, but they're beautiful. I mean, they've got deep greens and blues. They go all the way to the soft colors. And they're just so, I don't know, vibrant, I guess.
Well, and when you talk about vibrant, to me, though, I look at some of these and I see some dusting, if you will.
You move the soft greens.
Yes, just the softest.
It's just a little bit of color, and then you could pop it in with like something bold, you know, with the blues and the browns and stuff like that.
Let's talk a little bit about how people can come into the store. They can purchase, but also talk a little bit about creating your own pieces.
Well, I'm really interested again in the Swedish type of feel.
Okay.
And I also love traditional furniture, but putting a little twist on it. I love the mid-century modern because it's kind of contemporary to me. Since I like older things, that's my version of contemporary.
Show me. We're going to do a lot of picture showing as we're talking too. So what would be a not postmodern? What do you?
Mid-century modern,
yes,
kind of like from the
modern.
60s, 70s. So I created some pieces. They're very simple lines, and most of the time, mid-century modern, they're not painted.
Oh.
So my twist is to put paint on them, like keeping that nice clean line, simple doors. And what I did is I put mirror on some of them, printed mirror, or I did a beading technique, which I happen to love. So
that's the piece against the wall is a glorious example of that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the nice clean line, but then you've got the boldness of the mirror. And you can do, I have about 10 choices of different patterns that you could put on there.
Is that like an antiqued mirror? What is that?
Yeah,
it's really different.
The guy is fabulous that I found, and he could do imprinted lace on there, or you can customize your colors. If, say, you've got gold and green or something crazy like that, he would make a mirror just for you. And so with those pieces, the shape stays the same, but the interest is on the door panel. The same with the beveled door. The shape stays the same, but you can customize the color and the metal finish on the beading.
I know one of the things that you pride yourself on are your embellishments. I learned that word from you. Yes. And just looking at this bed or the side table or, again, your Swedish piece, what are embellishments?
Well, they're wooden onlays, and so they come in all different, you know, sizes and shapes. And what I like to do is I like to take them apart and reshape
She
them.
deconstructs the embellishments to recreate them into her
Well,
own. That's true.
Like when looking at a piece like the armoire, the linen press.
Oh,
I
love
loved
that
the
piece.
doors, but I couldn't quite find something that would fit perfectly. So I took 4 different pieces and put them together to create one shape.
Do you do that here? Do you physically do that and kind of finagle?
Well, I have an image in my head, which what I'm gearing towards.
All right.
And then sometimes it doesn't always work out, so you got to figure it out. And it's like a puzzle. But then when it's done, and then with the paint finish and everything, it comes out beautifully, I think.
As I've been walking through the showroom today specifically, I've noticed a lot of really interesting mirrors that you seem to be doing.
Yes. We make a lot of mirrors ourselves. Like people always have like these crazy spots, especially in powder rooms.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
Where do you find something to go over pedals of sink? So we'll,
right.
Customize that. And then I have a company where I'm using tin panels from, and they'll make mirrors for me out of them.
It is all about the tin. I actually was
love
in.
it.
Oh my gosh, we were talking about anthropology
Yeah.
a little bit before, and I was in one of the anthropology stores in New York, and it was all about the tin in combination with these rich woods.
Right.
Talk us through that.
So I'm doing another series where I'm using the vintage tin panels, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. So what I want to do, I want to create a cottage line. And so I created a nightstand that's very simple. You know, it's got some nice detail on the side, but the main focus is on the tin panel on the door. And so you can pick your color. They have all different colors, or you can customize the color.
What is the history of tin? I know we were talking that, roof, ceiling?
It was on the ceilings.
Okay.
It was on around the bars, on the bottom of the bars. I have one that's really huge, and it was in like a door panel.
Oh, cool.
So I'm playing around with that, and I have 3 different pieces right now that I designed that I'm working with that, and you can customize that as well.
The next segment we're going to go into, we're going to actually go into your workroom and see you in action. How long does it take to create a piece? And if I come in with an old piece, do you work with
That's
that?
fun too.
Is that fun for you too? Okay.
That was really how I got started. I was always refinishing
remember that.
stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So people will come in and they'll look around, and if they see something that they like a finish, they'll send me a picture of what they have.
Okay.
And then I shoot them back a quote, and then we get together and go over colors and stuff like that. And usually if it has to be wood. I have to be able to sand it and stuff like that. And if there's things that need to be fixed, we can fix the construction end of it. I've raised pieces. I have a piece in the back that I'll show you as well. That was a hat box table.
Ooh, okay.
And so we're making that into a powder room vanity for somebody. And they bought their sink from Jacob Preston.
Yes.
And then they came over here, and they picked out an old vintage piece that I had. It's got this beautiful mirror that goes with it. So it's fun. You're taking something that's old
and
giving it a new look, but
exactly.
you still hang on to the vintage part of it.
As you and I were talking about the different pieces, one of the things as a designer that I like is to find pieces that really pop and that are focal in someone's house.
Right.
That's what I think a lot of your pieces are. They can be the center or the focal point to build around in a lot of places.
Well, like the bed, for instance,
Yes.
and I have a day bed that I just finished in the back there. You wouldn't do your whole house like that, I think. It would be either what the room is designed around or something that completes the room, like the nightstands that I'm working on in the back. She couldn't find the right ones, and it just fit perfectly with the color on the tin, and it pulled the fabric in. So,
I would be remiss if I didn't talk a lot about we talked about your embellishments on your pieces, but I see a lot of what I call finishing touches here.
Yeah.
And the accessories and some of the artwork. Talk to me a little bit about the new lighting lines that you have.
Oh, I found a great source. Well, first of all, I also like to take things and make them into a lamp. So like the bird cages were from hanging in the tent of my daughter's wedding. So I have a guy that makes everything into lamps for me, or I'll find these were just vases.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah. So these were vases that I found, and we made them into lamps, and we found some fun shades. And then I have a company where I can get these real funky pendants and stuff. So I just like things that are just a little quirky, but not out there quirky.
Being a psychologist, okay, and doing the design thing, what I find interesting about creative people, and especially you, is nothing is what it seems.
Right.
Like you said, this was hanging in your daughter's
Right,
wedding,
it's
and
kinda
it's become
cool.
a glorious. It's become a,
Yeah.
a glorious lamp. Let's take a quick break and cruise back through and go check out the workshop,
Okay,
because
it'll
this
be
is
fun.
where all the real creativity comes. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on Lynes on Design. We are back here on Lynes on Design. Once again, Allison is here from Al Harry, and we're talking a little bit about how this magic happens. We're here in the inner sanctum, and it's really a lot more
Fun
tidy.
zone.
No, it's tidy and organized. I'm very impressed. So this is where all this inspiration really
Right.
happens. Talk to us a little bit about what we're looking at here and what you are going to show us.
Okay, so this is the Lily nightstand cabinet, and I designed this, and I have this built for me by a local carpenter.
Okay, so all your furniture that's built.
Yes, is built local.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're awesome guys. So
The pieces are amazing.
again, with this, the shape will stay the same, but the panel, the tin panel can change. And so
Exactly.
that-
Well, let me interrupt you at that point. And you say the tin is a new source that you got. So tin is
my
sort of your
goodness.
new inspiration.
I was at market, I think it was almost 2 years ago, and I was with my daughters, and we came across this gentleman, and he had walls of this tin, all different shapes and sizes. And we were like, that's a door panel. So I ordered a few, and I just started experimenting. And so that's where we came up with this design, keeping the size of the tin the same on the piece. But the color, they have colors that you can pick from that
Okay.
are already painted, some of the original paint from years ago.
Oh, wow.
Or they can customize it. So this one is for a client. She saw the one that's on the floor, and she liked the pattern that was on there. And so they were able to trace down a similar pattern, because she wanted to do something that was swirly with a little floral in it.
Okay.
So they're always a little different, but they can be similar.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. As I'm paying attention to what I hadn't before, I didn't realize that all the patterns were different.
Yeah, like this one is pretty close,
Yeah.
but there's just a slight difference. So this
Exactly. And I was looking at the green one that you have over here.
Oh my gosh,
Let's
look
see.
at that green
I
color.
well, the green I think is just
It's not for everyone, but
I
what a
love
statement.
it. I actually have a room this color, which I
Yeah.
absolutely love. I wonder what the patterns mean. I wonder if they had a meaning back in the old
That's
days.
a good question. Well, like this one, for instance, has a scene on it.
Let's
There's
see.
animals, which I
Oh,
thought
look
was
at that.
so pretty. So you can put this in here. and
color's
it
so
changes
pretty,
the
yes.
whole look. You can do a white cabinet. You could this could even be on this one, and you can go gray. So it's
I
really
love
versatile.
that. What am I looking at here? Oh, see, is that going to have one too?
Yeah, so this
That
is
would
the
be-
one that I'm working on.
Okay.
And the other option is we can do the mirror. So you could do, you know, like an antique mirror on the door panel, or you could do one of the imprinted ones.
And for anyone who didn't see the first segment, we talked a lot about this beautiful mirror that you found. And I call it really like an antique mirror. Just
Yeah.
kind of refresh everyone's mind.
Well, I have a guy that does this antique mirror, and there's different ways you can have it antiqued. He does like a distressing
yeah,
look,
this I
which
love.
is this. And they come in all different colors. Or you can have lace imprinted on it, or if there's a certain pattern that you like, you can
This
do
is-
circles. So you can really customize it and make it more personal than something that you would see, you know, somewhere else.
And it's mid-modern. I love the look of that. I just think it adds
Makes
a little...
a big statement when you walk
Doesn't
into
it?
a room, I think. So for this, with these pieces, what I was doing is I was keeping the paint finish very simple.
Okay.
And very little distressing, really just on the edges to bring out the lines.
Oh, I
yeah.
see where you're doing that.
Because the top has some really nice detail
Yes.
on it, and on the side. So not to take away from the main focus, I really just want to emphasize the shape of the piece.
All right, so what would that look like? You're actually going to show
Yeah.
us a little bit about what you're doing.
Right, so this is the
Okay.
drawer, and I have 2 coats of paint on it. I've already stained it.
Okay, talk to me about the 2 coats of paint. You said 2 coats of paint and stain?
I always stain my pieces first.
Okay.
It just gives a really nice aged look. It gives a good base coat.
All right.
For the paint.
And when you're talking about staining the piece, I'm sorry to keep...
That's okay.
But I'm really curious, is that a natural stain? Is there an undertone that you're, depending on what you're doing?
It depends on, like this one, I didn't want something super dark, so I kind of went with like a fruit wood, which is really light, and would go with the white. On this one, I went with a really dark, like walnut color, which looks nice with gray.
Which I think a lot of us are going, stain it, I don't understand. It's a light color. So
maybe it's my secret. I should have given it away.
I know, exactly.
What's okay, though.
Whoops. Yeah.
So what I do, and this is something anyone could really do, is I just sand the edges. I happen to like these because I can hold them. The paper, to me, just gets really messy. So I just kind of sand the edges, bringing out the fruit wood color underneath.
Oh,
and then I'll just... you know, real lightly go on this part. And sometimes it takes 2 shots. Like I'll do 1 shot and then I'll take my towel and wipe it. And then I need to do more and I'll do it again. You know.
Now, is this water?
This is mineral spirits.
And
because I use oil-based paint.
Okay.
So
so it's durable, washable, perfect.
Super durable.
Okay.
And I think it gives a really nice, elegant finish. You know, without being...
It feels very clean to me when I see things that are oil-based.
And so for the door, I mean, if you just...
Here, I can hold.
You know, I mean, you can be rough with it. I just, you know, tend to start off timid.
How fun is it to actually watch her do this?
And you just keep going. And again, it may not look like anything to start, but when it's all done, it emphasizes the elements on there with the molding and stuff like that.
You know, one of the things that, as we were talking, kind of prepping for this segment, that I noticed was a yellow piece of legal paper. And I think we talk about it all the time. When you look at people who are really inspired and creative and you see finished products, you wonder how they get to that point.
Yeah.
And I know that may look silly to you, but for me, and I think for many of us, this is the piece that we miss.
Well, what I tend to do is, I figured this out, when I get something, I write it down. Or if I have an idea, I'll start drawing, even if it's in the middle of the night. So this, I was thinking about this piece, and I tossed around making it into a headboard or a cabinet, but I can't shake the cabinet. So that it's going to be maybe like a bar cabinet. And so keeping with the same feel, I'll use the same little legs.
Okay. Oh, I love those.
So that will stay consistent. And then I'll raise it up, you know, make it so you could open it up, and there'll be a pull-out tray for your drinks, or you could put a TV in there even, and put a fun knob on it. So that's the design.
Do you typically do series of pieces?
Well, what I'm trying to do now is trying to create series, you know, different groups.
Okay.
So I have like the Miller collection, which is all the rustic kind of cottagey things, and that's what I grew up with.
All right.
And then the mid-century modern is my version of contemporary.
All right, which is what we saw in the other room, which I love.
Very clean lines. The only embellishment that I would actually put on there is the beading, which I can't get enough of, and you know that. I just think it adds such a nice detail to it.
And the interesting part, again, for me about the mid-modern piece is that I honestly think you could put it in any design motif, don't you think?
I mean, I'm someone who mixes things.
Right, me too.
I like a little bit of everything.
And the thing about some of the pieces that I'm seeing here is a lot of layering. It's not just a flat piece.
No.
There are lots of depths and textures.
Right. Well, the one thing I do love to do is layer colors. But for this group, I decided to stay simple. I had to control myself. But I do like taking colors and layering them. It just gives more character to it, and it makes it seem even older.
How do you find your inspirations? Are you a magazine? Are you a Pinterest? Are you just?
I guess magazines first, because you can kind of flip through.
All right.
And I'll just go online, and I always research antiques.
Oh.
I love to see what's old. You know, like this piece over here is a vintage piece that I found.
And we talked a little bit about this in the first segment, right?
So this is a vintage table nightstand dresser. It was a hat box table. And so the hat box sat here. And someone had gotten the sink from Jacob Preston, and they wanted a vintage piece for their powder room. So we raised the legs. And we're adding another piece under here for the mirror. We took the hat box off because it got in the way of the faucet. And I'm going to make that into a little stand to put in the bathroom for toilet paper and stuff like that.
If people come in and they're not so sure what they want, do you help them kind of design and create? Or do people come in and say, no, this is what I'm feeling?
Yeah, well, they come in, first they kind of look around and they'll say, I really like that, but I want to do it like this. And I just kind of gear them, you know, to make sure they stay, you know, with the design of their home and try and pull out what they're really trying to get at, you know. And some people have a clear vision and some
have no clue.
Yeah.
And those are probably the most fun, to have no clue.
Yeah.
Because I really believe this, for whether it's your designer or any professional that you choose. If I'm going to you because you are the artist and the professional, in many ways, I think it's a gift to give you to say, please, help me. Here are my guidelines. Now work your magic. One of the things, real quickly, we've got about 30 seconds, I want to make sure we talk about are the knobs that you use.
I think the fun thing is you can take a simple piece, whether it's new or old, and put cool knobs on it. So I found these at Anthropology, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, their knobs are pretty
hot. So I grabbed 6, thank gosh. And so this piece is the Kendall, which is on the website, and it has 6 drawers. And so each drawer will have this knob, and then this is the color scheme that I'm going with. So this is in the beginning stages.
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to have to go here on Lines on Design, but Allison and I are going to stick around for a few minutes and look at a few more things. Come on over this way. A few more things that you have. As always, it's a treat to have you join us. I learn something every time. Anthropology and knobs is my takeaway today. So anyway, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us here on Lines on Design. Have a wonderful week. Here's what we've learned today on Lines on Design that I'm really excited about since we've been at Al Harry with Allison, and that is, don't be afraid of your personal loves. Don't be afraid to express yourself when you're doing your own home. Be as avant-garde, take some risks, have some fun, and you'll be so pleased with the results. They will reflect your own personal home sanctuary.